Have you ever felt like you're just pouring everything you have into a relationship, but for some reason your partner isn't getting the message? It's this super common, super frustrating feeling. Well, today we're going to unpack exactly why that happens, using the brilliant ideas from Dr. Gary Chapman's classic book, The 5 Love Languages.
So let's just dive right into the big question. The one that honestly so many of us in long-term relationships end up asking. You know that incredible, obsessive, can't eat, can't sleep feeling from the beginning? Where does it go? Why does it feel like for so many couples that magic just vanishes after the wedding bells fade?
This isn't just some abstract idea. Dr. Chapman tells this story about a conversation he had on a plane. He's sitting next to this successful businessman who's just completely mystified by his love life. The guy looks at him and says this, basically admitting he's failed 3 times, and he just doesn't understand why the love always evaporated. It's a real, painful question for so many people.
And that feeling, that sense of the magic just fading away, that's the central mystery Dr. Chapman really wanted to solve. He realized it's not always about finding the right person. It's about figuring out what on earth happens to our communication once that initial high of falling in love starts to wear off.
And this leads us to the huge aha moment of his work. After counseling hundreds and hundreds of couples, Chapman had this incredible breakthrough. He realized the problem wasn't that people didn't love each other or that they weren't trying. Nope. The problem was basically one of translation.
And here it is, the core idea. The problem isn't a lack of sincerity. The problem is that we are all speaking different love languages. Think about it. You can be expressing your love with all your heart, but if you're not speaking the language your partner actually understands, the message just gets lost in translation.
Chapman came up with this brilliant analogy that makes it all click. He says, imagine you only speak English, but your partner only understands Chinese. You could stand there all day saying, I love you with every ounce of sincerity you have, but to them, it's just noise. The message won't land. And emotionally, that's exactly what's happening in so many relationships.
Okay, so to help us really picture this, Chapman gives us this simple but super powerful metaphor. Think of it like an emotional fuel gauge for your entire relationship. Every single one of us, he says, has an emotional love tank. It's this deep, primal need we have to feel loved and secure. And just like your car absolutely needs oil to keep running, a relationship needs to keep this love tank full to thrive. Seriously, the level in this tank pretty much dictates the entire climate of your marriage.
So when a person's love tank is full, they feel secure, they feel loved, they feel appreciated, the world literally looks brighter. When they feel that love, they can go out and achieve their absolute highest potential. It creates this amazing, positive, supportive vibe. But when that tank is running on empty, that's when all the problems start. Chapman argues that so much of what we call misbehavior in a relationship, the withdrawal, the harsh words, that critical spirit, it's not because your partner is a bad person. It's often just a desperate, misguided cry coming from a dangerously empty love tank. All right, so if the big problem is a language barrier that's leading to an empty love tank, what's the solution? How do we fix it? Well, this is where we get to the really good stuff. The 5 specific ways we can fill that tank back up.
And here they are, the 5 emotional love languages. Now, Chapman's big discovery is that each of us has a primary language. One of these 5 speaks to us more deeply than all the others. And the real secret, the key to a lasting, happy relationship, is to figure out your partner's primary language and then make the choice to speak it fluently.
First up, we have words of affirmation. For someone whose primary language is this one, words are not just words. They are everything. They need to hear that they are loved. They need to hear that they are appreciated and that you value them.
And look, it's not just about mindlessly saying I love you over and over. You can think of this language as having different dialects. Encouraging words, for example, can literally build your partner's confidence. Using kind words, even when you disagree, shows immense respect. And making a humble request instead of a demand, that communicates that you see them as an equal partner. It's all about how those words land.
And this quote from Mark Twain just sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? For someone who speaks this language, one single, genuine compliment can fill their emotional love tank for a very, very long time.
Okay, language number 2 is quality time. And this is a big one that gets misunderstood all the time. This isn't just about being in the same room together or, watching Netflix while scrolling on your phones. The key phrase here is undivided attention. The TV is off. The phones are down. When you give someone quality time, you are giving them a piece of your life that you will never, ever get back. That is an incredibly powerful emotional message. It screams, "You matter to me. I choose to be here with you."
There's this perfect example in the book about a couple, Bill and Betty Jo. Now, Bill's primary language was words of affirmation. So whenever Betty Jo would praise him for his hard work, his love tank was overflowing. He felt amazing. But her language was quality time. So it didn't matter how successful he was or how much he provided for the family, she felt completely unloved and ignored because he never just sat down and gave her his focused attention. See? They were both trying so hard, but they were speaking completely different languages.
Our third language is receiving gifts. Now, it's really easy to write this one off as just being materialistic, but Chapman is super clear that's not what this is about. For someone who speaks this language, a gift is a physical symbol of love. It's tangible proof that says, hey, even when we weren't together, I was thinking about you. It's the thought that counts, and that thought is what fills the tank.
Next up, number 4, acts of service. For a person whose primary language is this one, that old saying is 100% true. Actions really do speak louder than words. We're talking about things like cooking a meal, taking out the trash without being asked, running an errand for them. These simple acts can be unbelievably powerful expressions of love because they lighten your partner's load.
And finally, our fifth language is physical touch. It is so important to understand that this is about way more than just what happens in the bedroom. For a person who speaks this language, those affirming touches like holding hands when you're walking, a spontaneous hug from behind, or just placing a hand on their shoulder in a crowded room, those are the things that communicate security, comfort, and love more powerfully than anything else.
So this all brings us to the biggest takeaway of all. Understanding these 5 languages isn't just some fun personality quiz. It actually requires us to completely shift how we think about what love really is.
And this is where Chapman draws a huge line in the sand. He separates that initial in-love experience, that euphoric obsession that feels totally effortless, but he says only lasts about 2 years, from real love. Real, lasting love isn't just a feeling that happens to you. It's an active, conscious choice. It's the decision, day after day, to put in the effort to learn and speak your partner's language, especially when it feels foreign to you.
So that's the real challenge, isn't it? That in-love feeling is just the appetizer. The main course, the part that really nourishes a lifetime of partnership, begins when we choose to love. So the question isn't just, what's my love language? The much more important question is, which language am I willing to learn to speak for the person I love?